The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. Magic Johnson in our studio. His film, The Announcement, premieres Sunday, 9 p.m. ESPN. Then we have a little show after where you and I get to talk about the film. This is part one, the preview podcast. How are you? Thanks for coming.
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you.
Are you, scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this NBA season right now?
I'm very excited. I think that the fans are starting to see, if you break down the East, we already knew that Miami and Chicago would be the best two teams, but just Jeremy Lin's story has gotten the Knicks and made them relevant. Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, one guy who was all the way down at the end of the bench could come in and cause this much excitement and make them a better team.
Right.
Because he knows how to play the point guard position.
And then you got the West. You got, you could talk me into 8 teams.
You're right. I think with Oklahoma City, of course, with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook being the two best players on that team. But anybody, they're a great team, but they're not a team that we can say for sure they're going to make it out the West.
Right.
And then San Antonio's playing great. The Lakers are finally hitting their groove, it looked like. I thought the team that was going to cause a lot of problems were the Clippers, especially with Billups in the lineup.
Right.
Now that he's hurt, I think that's going to hurt their chances now because they're hurting at the two guard position, and they're hurting with outside shooting, and they can't hit free throws at the end of the game.
And defense.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
other than that.
But they're exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Chris Paul has made them a really a good team now, and he works well with Blake Griffin. And so it's a lot of teams. We don't know what Dallas don't seem like they have it now, and maybe it's catching up with them. They made a great run in the playoffs last year to win the championship. But I think that J.J. Barea, the spark plug, also he had a toughness about him.
Right.
They're missing that, and they're missing Stevenson. Some of the tough guys that may have an edge, they don't have that same edge anymore.
You know what they should do? They should just duck everybody like the '86 Lakers did, and then they come back strong next year, and then it'd be like this year won't matter. Remember when you did that when you didn't want to play the '86 Celtics?
No, I wouldn't say.
Did you actually throw the games, or did you just hope to lose them?
Well, you have to remember we played them in '84. We played them in '85.
Right, so this was the rubber match, and we were sitting there waiting for you. Where were you?
Well, we lost, but we caught them in '87. They didn't want to see us anymore.
Yeah, you caught us, and we're all banged up.
You know that the Celtics in '87 was not good enough to beat us.
Right, because we had a lot of injuries.
Well, no, they just didn't.
What do you mean, no?
Why they couldn't keep up with us.
Stop it.
No. Once they won in '84, they couldn't beat us after that.
You're not counting Mikhail's broken foot as an injury?
They couldn't handle us.
You're not counting Robert Parrish's sprained ankle as an injury, or DJ's sprained ankle?
They couldn't handle us. They were too old, too slow.
We would have handed you in '86, but you decided to just do a little DNP for the finals.
See, how many did they win in that stretch? I
We
think
won 2, and you won 2.
No, you're counting wrong.
What am I counting wrong?
You're counting wrong.
84 to 87, 2
with
to 2.
Bird, they won 3.
Right.
And with me and our Lakers, we won 5. So that's all that matters.
This is where I have to play the Len Bias card.
You can play any card
bad
you
luck.
want. All I'm
We
going
had
to
bad
say.
luck. You didn't have any bad luck. Where was your bad
I'm going to just give
luck?
you the facts.
Yeah.
5 and 3.
Where was your bad luck?
We
Plus
had
you in
bad
the
luck
West.
because, you know what, when James Worthy got hurt.
Broken leg, 83. I'll give you that one.
That's
okay.
right. James
One bad
Worthy
luck.
got hurt. So we you know what? The Celtics were incredible. They made us a better team. I give them a lot of credit. They made us a tougher team in '84 when we faced them, mentally and physically. So after '84, when '85 we faced them, we were ready for the Celtics. The Celtics couldn't beat us after that. We were ready for them.
Especially when the refs fouled out Mikhail with like 7 minutes left in Game 6 in 1885.
And when he fouls, that's what they're supposed to do. When he fouls,
big.
that's what he's supposed to do. They're supposed to get him out the game. But
do you still count the 5 titles considering you're playing in an inferior conference the whole time?
I think
I can't
that,
even remember one other team in your conference.
We beat all the best teams. That's
Who's
all
in
that
your conference? I can't even name a team.
It doesn't
the
matter.
Roy Tarpley Mavericks?
It really doesn't matter. As long as we beat those in front of us. Those who are in front of us.
Can you even name a good West team in the 80s?
Who did the Celtics beat? That was so relevant. So great.
Moses and Doc and the Sixers.
Oh.
The Isaiah Bad Boy Pistons.
You have to remember how many years.
The Bucks. How about those
Moses
good Bucks
only
teams?
played a couple years. Don't think that the Celtics kept beating Moses and them over and over again.
You guys had trouble with Moses a couple times.
Yeah, we had trouble.
81 and 83.
Yeah, we had trouble with him.
Kareem didn't like to see Moses.
But he was a physical player. He's an incredible rebounder. Moses is a Hall of Famer. I mean, you're going to have trouble with Moses. He's a dominant player. But at the same time, all that matters is how many rings you have. That's all that matters. And you can't even come back with that.
We should have won in 82. 82 would have been the fourth.
Oh, man.
Tiny separated shoulder.
Bill, why do you go
82
through
was
this?
ours. I know. Why
do you go through saying that we should have? Now, you know in sports, all that matters is what happened.
I like should-haves. I like the should-haves.
Because we went to the finals 9 times. We could sit here right now. I could say, oh, we should have won this time. We should have won that time. Well,
yeah.
I don't do that. See, it's
you went
what
9
happened.
times because you were in that conference.
Nah, we were just the best in basketball. And the Celtics couldn't keep up with us. The Sixers couldn't keep up with us. The Pistons when we beat them. So that's facts.
So 84 was your toughest finals, and you guys gave away that finals. I mean, the Celtics were tougher, and we had home court advantage. But you gave away game 2, gave away game 4, gave away game 7 to some degree.
Right.
That summer you took a lot of heat. The tragic Johnson thing, all that started. Remind me a little bit of what LeBron faced the last couple years coming off the finals. You rallied back, and you rattled off one of the best 6-year stretches anybody's had in the league. I don't have a feeling that he's rallying back in that same way. I still see in the last 2 minutes, you can kind of see in his eyes. He doesn't totally trust it. What do you see?
Well, I think that, first of all, when my situation, that was a tough time. Especially playing my rival in Larry Bird, and then the Lakers and Celtics playing.
And you'd never beaten the Celtics at that point.
Yeah, the Lakers had never beaten the Celtics. Right. And then, with us losing to them, that caused even more. Can the Lakers ever beat the Celtics?
Right.
I had opportunities in all those games to make plays that I didn't make that normally I would make. And so running a clock out the one time when the game was tied, turning the ball over in game 7 about 3 or 4 times in the fourth quarter, critical times in the game. And so that summer was the worst summer of my entire life. I've never really had failed in the pressure situation in a big moment. So I stayed at home. I only went to the gym and came back, sat in the dark. You're just upset because I failed, and I don't like to lose,
Yeah.
And so what I did, I worked on my game. I made sure that I came back better, and I made sure if I were ever in those positions again, I would never let that happen. What happened in '84 in those 3 games.
When you say you worked in your game, what were you doing? You're like, I got to develop a little baby skyhook here. Like, what were the things you worked on? 3-point shooting?
Not necessarily 3-point shooting as much as outside shooting.
Yeah.
Also, you work on making sure you go down in the post a little bit more. So you worked on things, free throws. You worked on, and also just, what I worked on? Clock. I just got the clock in my mind, and so now instead of looking to Kareem, I was making sure I was going to shoot.
Because in game 2 and game 4, the clock ended up costing you those games, basically.
That's right. So I watched that series over and over again, and always circled my mistakes. So I said, okay, if I'm ever in that same position again, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to think about this, or I'm not going to worry about what the play call was. Just make the play.
Right.
And so LeBron, only way he can really turn this around is he's got to perform well in the pressure situation. And sometimes you got to use the regular seasons, those games, to prepare you for the playoffs. And that's why against Utah a couple games ago, that's why we say shoot it. You want him to shoot it. Not he made the great basketball play. That's the right play. But no. this situation is good for you to get ready for June and May, because you're going to be put in that situation where you got to take the shot. So why not pull up, see what happens, and then you're getting used to now taking the game-winning shot.
The reps.
That's right.
Getting the reps.
Getting the reps and getting your confidence up. No matter what happens, make or miss, it was still a good play for you. And so but
wait a second, though. He's been doing this his whole career. He always makes the best play regardless of the context, it seems like. This is something he's been doing since, I think, 06, 07 was the first time he started getting in trouble. How do you know as a player to do that switch and go, all right, this time the right play is just me shooting, and that's it. Everybody get the F out of the way.
You'll know. It's just like when Pat Riley came to me in 86 and said, Irvin, it's got to be your team now.
Yeah.
And you got to start taking a lot more shots. So I had to train myself to start taking more shots first quarter through the fourth quarter. Because usually I was like getting maybe 10, 12 shots. Now I got to get used to taking 20 shots. So I had to train myself to take 20 shots. I had to work on my game post and on to make sure I had enough moves in my arsenal so that I could take 20 shots. But then I had to start doing it in games. So getting my arms, getting my body, getting everything ready to take 20 shots. But I had to do it in the game over and over and over again. You don't get used to something unless you do it in the regular season. You can't do it in the playoff unless you're doing it in the regular season. So for LeBron, he's lost his confidence at the end of the games, and you can see it because
you can see it in person, especially. You can definitely see.
Yes, he's lost a bit of his confidence. So what he has to do now is say, okay, let me get the confidence back. Let me pull up, and don't care if you make it or miss it. Just get used to doing it. And you've been a MVP. You've been a superstar in our league for 7-8 years that you've been in the league. Get back to that mindset of, hey, I'm gonna make every shot and I'm gonna make every big shot, and I don't mind being a hero or the GOAT, because now it's almost like he's hesitant. And this guy is so talented. He's the best player in our league.
Yeah.
So it's all about regaining his confidence in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game.
There's another factor, though, which you had to deal with on the Lakers. I mean, you mentioned Riley finally went to you and said, I need you to score more. Part of the reason was for probably the first 6 years of your career, you had an automatic 2 points on your team in Kareem. But this guy was the single best shot anybody's ever had in basketball. And even in 85, I mean, he dominated that finals. You were smart enough to feed the beast.
That's right.
But at some point that switched. Now you have this LeBron Wade thing. I'm not sure LeBron should have the ball at the end of the games. I mean, if Wade is hot, he is as good of a 2 points as anybody has. Like, how do you balance that?
Well, I think that's Coach Spoelstra has to make that choice and decision, and the guys on the floor. When you think about Wade and LeBron, we went with Kareem because we already knew Kareem, two things could happen. He's going to shoot that beautiful sky hook, which is still the greatest shot that
of all time.
We've seen ever in basketball. Or he's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to get a foul.
Because the refs gave him every call.
Yeah, and he deserved every call because nobody could guard him.
He pushed off every time there was called.
Yeah, because Robert Perez and Kevin McHale was only grabbing and holding him every single time. So, of course.
Listen. It worked out his way. I'm not going to complain.
So Wade and LeBron have to really look at each other, and then also look at each other and communicate with each other and say, okay, look, I got the mismatch right now.
Right.
I'm going good. I know I can take him. Okay, well, let's go to you then. Sometimes we went away from Kareem. Sometimes James had the mismatch, and maybe he was going that night, and so maybe he would take that last shot.
But ultimately, it was always up to you.
Yeah.
You made the decision, at every point in your career, all right, I'm going to feed Kareem. I got to keep Kareem happy. Kareem needs his points, needs his shots. That's our best way to win. Then around the mid-'80s, it became clear to everybody, all right, that's not our best way to win. You took over.
Right.
My fear with Miami, actually it's not a fear because I'm a Boston fan, my hope with Miami At some point, one of the players in that team is going to have to decide how that hierarchy falls. And we saw that in the finals last year. They never totally decided, and it fell apart on them. I don't understand why that hasn't. To me, it hasn't changed.
Right. Well, because what happens when none of those guys are a point guard, the point guard on the team, so it's harder for them to decide. See, I was the point guard on my team, so it's easy for me because I was the point and I was the leader.
Yep.
You know, you got a guy who's playing 2, and then you got a guy who's playing 3, basically. And so now they have to decide this on their own, and they're not used to making decisions like this. Now they're put in that position, but they've never been in that position before. So they'll figure it out because right now they're playing great together. It's just what's going to happen when it's 2 minutes to go and they need a big bucket. Who do you go to? And they're going to have to talk about it and work it out. And then also, too, sometimes it's game to game because it may be LeBron. Like in Utah, he had it going. I mean, when you hitting what? I think he was 8 for 9.
17 in the fourth.
Yeah, 4. He had it rolling. So it shouldn't be any decision who was going to take that last shot. Now, if Wade got it rolling, it should be Wade. And so it's like who has the mismatch and who has it going. That's who you should go to.
At the same time, let's say in '84, you come out of that finals and you go, I got to get mine now. I didn't get mine. The reason we lost is I didn't get mine enough. And you get. When I need to get mine, I'm going to get mine. You guys got to get out of the way. You guys don't win the title next year.
Right.
And maybe it'll be interesting. I mean, let's say you put Nash on that team now. Now Nash is deciding, Wade's hot this game. I'm going to feed him. Oh, LeBron's hot in this quarter. I'm going to make sure he does what we need him to do.
Right.
Until they get a guy like that, I really wonder if they can win. And I don't know who that guy is, but
yeah, well, they still have the most talent when you think about Chris Bosh,
by far,
Wade, and LeBron. I mean, that's Chalmers is playing well this season.
We like their top 8 now, right? You're happy with the top 8?
Yeah, I think
because last year they had weak links. This week,
exactly.
This time they don't.
This is a better Miami Heat team.
Yeah.
Pat Riley's done a wonderful job, but still, that moment is going to come back again where they're going to need a big shot.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to step up. And LeBron's going to have to get used to stepping up, too, because Chicago's going to force him to take shots, and he's going to have to knock them down because they're going to have to play Chicago eventually.
Yes.
And I think that and then if they get to the championship, whoever comes out the West is going to do the same thing. So I think Miami will be okay. These two guys are veterans, Wade and LeBron. They'll figure it out. I'm not worried about them, and I think what happened last year, they have learned from that, and they will move forward and be better because of what happened last season. But Chicago will be a stiff test for them for sure.
One of the things 2 years ago when LeBron no-showed the Cleveland Celtics game in Game 5, and nobody understood what had happened, and TNT came on right after, and Barkley was so disappointed by how LeBron played that he just couldn't hide it, and he was, it was one of the most disappointing things I've seen as a fan. What is it? It just seems like the great players, yourself included, even after you retire, you have such a vested interest in the next generation of guys, them coming through, them living up to the standards you set. What is it about that dynamic? Because I would be the opposite. I'd be rooting for everybody to choke, so then everybody would be like, oh yeah, Magic Johnson, remember him? He never did that.
No, because we want these guys, the game that we help to grow and to build, right? And in the 80s, and it was special because Larry and myself come through. We actually turned the game around in the NBA. And then you got Michael, who took it to another level, you know. And so Charles and all those guys, Dr. J, Kareem, everybody played a role, Isaiah and his Pistons and on. So we're saying, look, the game is in good hands. We're passing it to you. Kobe and Shaq, tremendous. They really dominated when they were playing together. The Celtics, when Kevin Garnett came and they won their championship. So what we're saying is, look, we poured our soul and our heart and our guts out on that floor, right?
Yeah.
And we try to play the game the right way, and we try to market the game. What's missing with guys today, they don't get out and market the game.
They market themselves. They're worried about their brand.
Yeah, exactly, but not the game. That's why the slam dunk is struggling. The slam dunk contest is struggling because, well, all the great players won't get in it. And so when I played, Michael Jordan was in it, Dr. J, Dominique Wilkins, all the great guys who could walk in air and could jump really high, they all participated. And that made the slam dunk contest great. Larry Bird participated in the three-point shooting contest and won and dominated, right? Right. All the greatest shooters participated.
I didn't see you in the three-point contest.
I can't shoot. I only win championships. I can't shoot. I would never go up against Larry in a shooting contest. Trust me. But
I think now you might be able to take him.
Well, now that's still my guy, and trust me, Larry Bird can still shoot.
You think?
No, do I think? That's like riding a bicycle.
All right.
Larry Bird will probably go out here and outshoot Kevin Love, who won the three-point shooting contest right now.
Well, he'd psych him out.
Larry Bird.
He would talk stuff. He would talk crap before the contest.
Just give him a couple weeks to get ready.
Yeah.
Kevin Love would not outshoot Larry Bird even today.
You're not going to like this comment.
Okay.
I think if the '92 Olympic team played the 2012 Olympic team, I think you guys are underdogs.
I don't worry about what Bill says and thinks. I know we'll kick their butt, So you've been ragging on the Celtics was better than the Lakers. Now you say this team.
It's true.
Man, let me tell you something. What that team would do. That team would destroy any team in front of us.
But you have to play those guys at that point. Like you hadn't played in how long? 9 months.
Oh, you want us now? But
no,
if
I'm
we're
saying
at the
92.
same age.
I'm saying that team at that specific point of everybody's career. Because what the mistake people make is Bird was ready to retire. I mean, you know how banged up he was.
But we were still strong.
All right, so let's break it down. Because we did this with Chris Mullen last week, and after about 10 minutes, he was like, oh, crap, we probably would have to play a zone. You have to play a zone.
But it doesn't matter. Matter. Winning is winning. Zone or whatever.
All right, I'm throwing out in crunch time LeBron, Wade, Durant, Derrick Rose, and Howard.
So
who are you checking?
So
who are you
does that
checking
mean?
out of those four? I'm just curious.
Anybody.
30. You're 32 at that point. You're 33.
And who's checking us?
All right. LeBron's on you probably.
And then let me put it to you this way, Bill. Okay. You named all those guys.
Yeah.
There's one guy who's won a championship in that group.
That's a great point.
Only.
So you would say put your money on 92 as the underdogs.
No, I say that we're not going to be underdogs to them. We got too many championship rings.
So you put Pippen on Derrick Rose probably.
It doesn't matter.
Can you chase around Durant?
Well, Kevin's going to get his, but I'm going to get mine. He can't stop me. I can't stop him.
So it'll be like that great Chris Mullen game. What was that, 90-91? You and Chris Mullen just said, screw it, we can't guard each other. I think you had like 50, he had 47.
That's right. That's right. But you know what? The intangible is we're champions. We know how to win.
Right.
You can't never bet against a champion because he knows what it takes to win. That team is talent-wise, outstanding.
Yeah.
No question about it. You put LeBron, Wade, Kevin Durant, Howard, Derrick Rose, outstanding.
Chris Paul.
No,
also hasn't won a championship.
Outstanding. But when it comes down to 5 and under, and you looking at us, Michael Jordan, myself, we know how to get it done. We're going to know what to do. We're going to stop them, and we're going to win the game.
I just realized Kobe should have probably been out there instead of Dwayne Wade. Yeah, I don't know who plays in crunch time. So Kobe brought some championships.
You're a Laker hater. That's why you didn't put him out there. You always hate on the Lakers.
I don't know if he's going to be healthy.
And then Kobe, what do you mean should have been out there? You should have named Kobe first.
I should have. I forgot Kobe.
A champion 5 times.
Maybe it was an intentional omission.
He's already won a gold medal.
I want to see if you noticed.
Oh, see, I'm going with you. You're the host. This your show, not the Magic Show. I'm just going with what you say.
So if Kobe out there in crunch time, you feel any better?
I think it's about even.
Even?
Yeah.
And then it becomes a Jordan-Kobe battle at that point.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
Really would. Can we build a time machine?
That would be unbelievable.
How great would that be? Pay-per-view. The 92. We found him in the dream team. We found the time machine.
Them two going at it, that would be unbelievable.
Tell me about, I asked Mullen about this, I'm going to ask you, the famous scrimmage.
Oh, man. The best.
Dream Team, Monte Carlo,
Best.
You guys had a couple bad practices. You and Matt Jordan has won now 2 titles. He kind of feels like it's his league now. You and Bird are yesterday's news.
Mm-hmm.
You guys start talking.
Right.
And it starts escalating.
Yep.
All right, so what happens?
Well, first you have to remember Chuck Daly, God bless him. He divided the teams east versus west. So Michael, Charles Barkley, Pippen, Patrick Ewing, Larry Bird.
Oh, Bird was out there.
Yeah, well, he was on. Even sometimes he'd come in and out.
Right.
So all the East guys versus all the West guys, myself, Drexler, Mullen, Stockton, Karl Malone, David Robinson.
Got it.
So, and we gave them Christian Laettner, the college guy. You can have him. And let me tell you something. That was the greatest basketball I've ever played in my life.
Ever? Even better than '84 Game 4 Finals.
No, it was when you think about that type of talent going hard in a practice. Like, I mean.
Well, what made you guys decide to go hard? What was the tipping point?
Well, because nobody wanted the other guy to take advantage of him. Egos came into play now.
Yeah.
So Clyde Drexler and Michael were going at it.
Because they had a whole thing from the '92 finals, and Jordan kicked his butt the whole thing.
And David Robinson and Patrick Ewing going at it, and Charles and Karl Malone going at it. I mean, it was like, and we were trying to block shots. It was hard fouls. Nobody could get to the basket. It was the most incredible basketball I've ever been in and ever seen. Just greatness, just going back and forth at each other. And
so at what point do you know, something's really happening here?
Oh, you because it was just going back and forth, great play after great play.
Yeah.
And the people who were there were going, did you see? It was going back and forth. And finally, Chuck Daly just called timeout. The people who were around just had to stand up and start clapping. And even us, we had to just say, wow, this was incredible. That 5-10 minute stretch was just the greatest I've ever seen. And
were you talking the whole time?
Oh, yeah. Because Michael would get in and score on Clyde. He said, you can't stop me. And, we'd go down. And I get it, say, Clyde, you better go back at him. You better take him. So we were talking, and guys were just getting up for that moment. And I tell you, the greatest moment was Michael caught it, and he came on the right side. David Robinson was coming on the left to go up the block. And Michael took off. David took off. And Michael just decided to hang in air for a minute. Oh, I'm just going to walk in the air for a minute.
I'm going to be up here.
Yeah. David started doing this.
Yeah.
Started going down.
Yeah.
Michael's still in the air looking at him as he goes down. Then he decided to 360 and dunk it. I mean, Michael was unbelievable. And it was just great to see him become Air Jordan and not Michael Jordan in that scrimmage. It was just awesome basketball. And I think that's the difference between us and these other teams. We practice hard. That dream team went at each other. That prepared us for all the other teams that we had to play against in the Olympics. That's why we blew everybody out, because we practiced hard. And give Michael Jordan a lot of credit. He said, Chuck Daly said, Michael, you and Magic and Larry co-captain. He said, no, let them guys be the captains and let them tell us what to do. He respected what we had done, and so he was always about doing the right thing. And then when I think it was Newsweek came up and said, hey, I want to put you and Michael on the cover for the Olympics, I said no. I said, if Larry Bird's not on the cover, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so then they decided to put Larry. I said, how are you going to put just Michael and I? Larry Bird means just as much as all three of us together mean a lot to the league, not just the two of us. So that's see, we took care of each other. I don't think today guys would take care of each other like that.
Right.
And that's the difference.
Was there a guy during that whole summer that you were playing with going, wow, I never thought this guy was this good? Was it Barkley?
All of them, yeah. Charles. When you're practicing and you living with somebody that for months, you get to really see them and see their talents. And Charles was just amazing. You never knew how dominant he was at his size.
They were trying to trade him at the time.
Yeah, and we only played him twice.
Yeah.
but he was our best player in the Olympics in '92 because he really dominated everybody that we played against. And also the way he was able to use his body. That's what he was a master at. That's what you didn't realize, that he could bump you off or bump you this way and then get his shot off. And I think also how fast Karl Malone was on the wing, because that ball turned over and that big man was out.
Because it's not like Worthy was probably one of the top 5 fill-the-wing guys of all time.
Yeah, and still is today.
Yeah.
That's my man.
Yeah,
and
but
also
Malone would have been
finisher.
fun too.
Yeah,
because Malone would stick his knee out, and you had to get out of his way, or you're gonna take it right in the chest.
Karl was fun in a different
way. He was a
way.
cheater. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Come on, that knee thing wasn't legal.
Well, he took advantage of the rules.
Yeah,
That's what every guy's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But James Worthy was an unbelievable.
So let's do the top 5.
Basketball. What?
Worthy, Malone, LeBron's got to be on there.
Top 5 what?
Top 5 fill the wing. You're running. You got this guy on this side, this guy on this side.
Wow.
You need LeBron on that side.
Wow. Yeah. LeBron is probably the fastest guy I've ever seen.
I agree.
I don't think there's ever been a faster guy at that size, and also what he could do with it once he got there. I would say LeBron. I would say Dominique. Unbelievable what he could do.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I think Karl
How
Malone.
about Doc?
Oh yeah.
Early Doc.
You take Doc right there with LeBron, because Doc would posterize you in a different way. When he did that to Coop, when he rocked the baby and dunked, he was amazing. So those were great finishers, And I didn't get a chance to play with him, but they said Elgin Baylor was the same way. He could really take off and do great things on that wing. But
we should probably throw in Sean Kemp too, just in case he's listening.
Yeah. Sean was a freak of nature.
Young Sean.
Yes.
Young Sean.
Yes. I love when he went up and he did some unbelievable move and then he back out Oh, that was great. And boy, could he jump. Oh.
At what point during the big game, James, when he arrived, did you realize, oh my God, this guy was like meant for my fast break?
The first
Thank
day.
you, God.
The first day. And also he was fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
I don't
North Carolina.
I think him and Kareem were the two most fundamentally sound players I've ever played with in my life. And James, once he started, when he figured Mikhail was going to be playing him a lot, and he got that 18 to 15 foot jumper down, nobody in basketball could stop him. Nobody.
And you had to play 3 feet off him too.
Yeah,
so that 18-footer was,
because his first step was unbelievable.
Best first step.
But maybe ever.
Yeah, it
James
might be.
Worthy was just. And I tell you, and he didn't mind. He was a quiet guy. He didn't mind, them talking about Kareem or myself. Right. He was comfortable in his own skin, who he was, and still became a Hall of Famer and also a great defender. People didn't give him credit for.
Yeah.
James could defend, and so he was like, that favorite teammate on that wing. You love to see him on that right side coming down the wing, and maybe Byron on the left fading to the corner. You knew James was going to take it around and put it in one hand and just do something beautiful.
Back to that scrimmage for 1 second, because you have this documentary that's coming out Sunday at 9 on ESPN. Mm-hmm. And at that point, when you were that famous game we just talked about, when it went back and forth, you were at a point in your life where you probably had thought that you were never going to play basketball again, and now you're in that game.
Right.
I mean, were you just sitting there going, oh my God, I'm just to get that one more time?
Bill,
were you in that mindset?
You're absolutely right, man. Thanking God that I got this opportunity one more time. Thanking God that I'm able to play with the world's best players, and the two guys I've always wanted to play with, Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, on the same team.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Michael every day and every night we played cards. I got a chance to really know Michael during that Olympics. And I was just thanking David Stern, the Olympic Committee, everybody for letting me play on the team, but also I got a chance to know the greatest player, and really talk to Michael. And that was, I think, the defining moment for me.
Yeah.
Also, it was the therapy that I needed. Sometimes when you're going through something in life, like HIV and AIDS, you need good therapy. The medicine, of course, you're going to take. You had the support system of my family, my parents, my wife, Cookie, my kids. But also basketball was a therapy, right?
Yeah.
And then also I needed to camaraderie of the guys one more time, because I'm fighting for my life, right? And you don't know what's going to happen. So they made me feel comfortable again. And also after that Olympic experience, it fired me up to go on and help me to continue to fight HIV and AIDS and continue to battle. And so what a moment for me. Yeah. It was more for me than those guys, because they didn't understand. For me, it was just everything. Just to be on the bus, the plane, the practices, hanging out, talking. Just one of the guys one more time. I needed it at that time.
That's Sunday, 9 p.m., the announcement. You can check out part 2 of this podcast, which we're going to talk about the film, basically. That's going to run on Monday on ESPN.com. Please check out the documentary. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.